Uh, where's where the hell is my mustache? Um, Whatever. It's gone. It's gone. Babyface it is. Hey guys, what's up? And today I'm gonna do a review of the 2005 classic dark pop electronic rap rock album, Gorillaz, Demon Days. So for the second review, or third actually, of my Gorillaz review series, I am gonna actually upload this in Hong Kong. Anyway, Gorillaz virtual band led by Damon Albarn is back with a more ambitious and colorful album after the slick and fun self-titled debut, and oh boy, this album is a blast. Not only is this album a very smart and refreshing mix of electronic, punk rock, indie rock, art pop, hip hop, soul, and experimental noise, this album has all sorts of songs with different colors and textures, and each brings such an eargasm. The album starts off with an intro cut that is very strange and odd and dark. We get these sneaky woodwinds, probably clarinet maybe, some clippy percussions, and then some eerie sound effects that sounds like children cheering, playing, and it's such an animated, cartoony, milky kind of dark noise intro. A perfect way to start off the album. Then the album brightens up with the actual first song, Last Living Souls, with the very simple and steady electronic drum beats as Damon Albarn sings in a very helpless, low-pitched voice, "We are the last living souls." Are we the last living souls? Are we the last living souls? Then we get these very uplifting and nimble beats that are very round, edged, and soft as the track becomes a very humble and cute beginning. And it also feels like Gorillaz is essentially welcoming us into this new world in the middle of all these events. Then the track breaks into a very fluid and beautiful acoustic guitar session with Damon Albarn singing in such a lively and sincere way. And overall, it's such a refreshing start to the album, and I have to give Last Living Souls a 10. Up next is a total fucking banger. It is Kids with Guns. It's so playful and fun and exciting, yet there's a dark and painfully dystopian side of this track that's often unnoticed. This track feels like something exciting and insane is about to happen secretly, and you can't miss it, even though you're not involved. In fact, that's how the album sounds for the most part. We get a very playful guitar riff with a catchy chord progression, and as Damon goes in singing "Kids with Guns," bam bam, kids with guns, they're turning us into monsters. Just imagine this song playing right after something climactic happens, and it leaves the main character hanging there doing nothing in an exciting way. Oh damn, I'm giving this a perfect score, 10 out of 10. The next track is "Oh Green World," which starts off with some interesting dangly guitar crisps, then it breaks into this unapologetic floppy bass with some eccentric circly strings. After that, we reach into the core parts of the track with the super catchy "Whoa." It sounds like it's being sung through the radio during the post-apocalyptic ages. And still, it's so exciting and refreshing, yet so well contained. I'm giving this track a 9 to a 10 out of 10 again. So good, so good. To light the atmosphere up again, we have the track "Dirty Harry," which is super catchy, groovy, and danceable. The sour bass guitars, plus the gross melodies and the raspy falsetto vocals in the beginning, give this track so much personality. Plus the children choir. The children choir. Oh my gosh. Damon is such a genius. Then the beat drops and oh boy. Oh boy. And of course the children choir comes in and it's such a fun experience. It's super sing-alongable as well. We need a gun to keep myself from harm. And it sounds rebellious and witty yet catchy as hell. To make this track even better, we have a rap performance that's super grotesque and whack. It sounds like the rapper is about to regurgitate. This track is just purely ingenious. I'm giving Dirty Harry a 10 out of 10 again. By the way, the live version of this track is ecstatic. To top it off, which is tough, but Gorillaz did it, we get Feel Good Inc., which is easily one of the best songs of the 2000s, one of the most iconic as well. The production is near flawless. The blend of hip-hop, funk, rock, and dark pop is purely brilliant.
Love forever, love is freely turned forever, you and me. Windmill, windmill for the land is everybody in.
The track starts off with these iconic laughter, then the grimy, catchy bass comes in. Played by Murdoch, of course, who is a disgusting and filthy guitar bass player who looks like he doesn't give a single fuck to anything. The crispy drums by Russell is fantastic. The high-pitched guitars by Noodle gives a bright side to this track, and Tootie's cold-blooded but lively vocals add so much personality and flavor and texture to this track. It's insane. The chords and the chord progression of this track sounds very dark, gritty, and grimy, but melancholic and soothing at the same time. And I also love Damon's half rapping, half singing performance. And then here comes the very playful and animated rap verses of De La Soul, which contrasts to these vocals a lot because it's just so full of energy. Soon, the song breaks into another bright and sunny guitar session where it's only Noodle playing, and it sounds like taking a peek of the sun out of the dark clouds. Overall, it's such an instant catchy banger that no one can deny, really. I'm giving Feel Good Inc. a 10 out of 10, no doubt. The next track is a perfect cool-down track, and that is El Mañana, which has some moody, descending guitars and dejected vocals. It sounds legitimately sad and dark, but not the deep, empty, chilling dark, but it's more animated and cutesy, which again adds so much personality to the track. And the chorus is golden. It's really sing-alongable, and the music video along with this track is devastating as well. Apparently Noodle sort of died in the video, but don't worry. She'll appear later in the next phase, aka Plastic Beach. And I'm overall really impressed by this track because Damon Albarn went from these little light-hearted experimental tracks on the debut to something this solid and impactful just on the next album. I'm giving El Mañana or The Future a 10 out of 10 again. Just full 10. The album dives a little lower, however, with Every Planet We Reach Is Dead, but still, it's not a bad track at all. I still think it's freaking great. It's basically a very sensual and depressing slow jam that feels so luxurious, but yet alienating and sad.
Nothing to see me down. How are we going to work this out?
It sounds like something terrible just happened and a person is left with no choice. So he or she said, "So what are we going to do?" And that's literally one of the lines in the lyrics. I love the lavishing strings and the drunken guitars. It has a lot of jazz influences in them, and the piano solo is beautiful and sweet, especially when it hits the climax. It's so explosive, yet so sleepy and drunken. And once again, this track sounds like something insane and epic is about to happen, and the listener, who is totally irrelevant, is gonna somehow witness it secretly. It sounds like something rumbling underneath the boring facade, and it's unexciting yet so exciting. I'm giving it a 9 to a 10 again. Up next is November Has Come, which is about how the glory days of hip-hop had passed. It features a quirky and robotic performance from none other than MF Doom. Although it's not like the greatest MF Doom verse, it's still not bad. And then just as the song starts to get drab and colorless, these very bright and cartoony falsetto harmonies chime in. And it sounds like a very anticipating sunset. It's a sunset, it's anticlimactic, but yet it feels like something exciting and insane is about to happen. This track is interesting and smart, and that's why I'm giving this track a 9 out of 10. All Alone comes next, which is a bit of a low point for the album, but doesn't mean it's bad at all. In fact, I still like it. It has a very speedy cycling beat with some futuristic and rough guitar crisps, as well as the entrancing refrain, All Alone. And it's a very loud and bombastic party banger, really. Although there's nothing too outstanding and special about it. And the rap verses are relatively more stale. I still enjoy this track though. I'm giving All Alone an 8 out of 10. And just like a wake-up alarm, White Light hits hard and brings the listeners back to the very excited and laser-focused state. And the track is very minimal. It has Damon singing White Light in a very muttered and filtered sound. I'm reading off my script. Almost sounds like he's singing it through an old telephone or a walkie. And then the drum beats are super precise and dancey. It's almost perfect to run along to this song. Plus the instrumental break in the middle of this track is really damn amazing because it sounds angelic and transcendent. And once again, it sounds like taking a peek through the dark clouds to go face to face with the sun. And overall, it's just a very nasty and raspy banger. I'm giving White Light a 9 to a 10 out of 10. Then it's Dare, capital letters, D-A-R-E, which is where the album hits yet another peak. It sounds so exciting and fun, yet so dreamy and relaxing at the same time. It features a small name, Sean Ryder, kept on repeating, "It's Dare" on this track, which is very bold and out there. Never did no harm, never did no harm.
You've got to press it on you. You just think it, that's what you do, baby. Hold it down, baby.
And the falsetto vocals of Noodle on this track is just golden. By the way, it's a different Noodle from the Shoe Shine one on the debut album. And it's also refreshing to see 2D not being in the driver's seat for the first time. The track is ultimately about stopping being sad and whiny and do something, join the party, get your hands dirty, have some fun, go wild, go crazy, because that's a part of life, and that's something that I need to do more as well. The vocals are super catchy, the cartoony and clicky instrumentals are sticky as hell, and the music video is genius. I'm giving Dare a straight 10. The next track is even more an oddball, but still very enjoyable and innovative, and that's Fire coming out of a monkey's head, which is essentially a spoken word track. And by the way, the song title is badass. Even though it's spoken word, it still sounds super interesting, and the bouncy, goofy, hip-hop flavored guitars, and the spooky but yet cartoony tribal music flavored choir are amazing. And the lyrics basically tell the sad and tragic story of a huge group of people called happy folk, living under a mountain happily. And then suddenly the strange folk came and destroyed the mountain, so everyone had to escape and some even died. Rest in peace. And of course, we get yet another song, Break, where it turns into this sad and dejected harp ballad, which is absolutely beautiful. I'm giving this track an 8 to a 9 out of 10. To wrap the album up, we get a two-parted ending that's absolutely beautiful and extremely underrated. Both parts sound incredibly uplifting and angelic because of the very optimistic choir vocals and the subtle but bright and colorful ambient background, as well as the dreamy and euphoric guitars. As well as the dreamy and euphoric guitars. Don't Get Lost in Heaven is the first part, and it sounds like it's slowly building up to a higher level. We get these blissful vocal performances by individual choir members, and then it breaks into a very beautiful and sweet farewell tune as it hits the second part, which is the title track. It's sort of like the first part, except it's carried by this slow beach reggae rhythm that's super relaxing and calming, and sweet and optimistic as well. It sounds like even though there are tragedies happening around the world, there is always hope, and that just gives me goosebumps. Soon the choir collectively sings together in such a colorful fashion. To the sun! This track sounds like a warm and relaxing sunset on the beach of some remote tropical island. This track sounds like a satisfying farewell. This track sounds like dying satisfied with not a single worry in the world. This is the perfect ending for such album. I'm giving both parts a 10. Oh yeah, I'm also gonna mention the track Hong Kong because I'm literally from there. It's not on Demon Days, but it's a track worth mentioning. It's on D-sides, or was it G-sides? I forgot. Even though Hong Kong doesn't actually feel as beautiful and as sweet as this track sounds, but damn, the harps and the watery guitars on this track are beautiful, as well as 2D's helpless vocals. Yeah, but still, as a Hong Konger, Hong Kong is actually way more boring, uninteresting, and depressing. Overall, Gorillaz' second album, Demon Days, really surpassed the debut by miles. On the debut, Damon Albarn was mostly experimenting and playing around, not being totally serious, but on this album, he really expanded his creative bubble, incorporated even more musical genres, featured more artists ranging from big names to small names, and applied more musical instruments as well. And this album is extremely versatile. Every single track brings such a unique flavor and texture and structure, and even though they all share this wild, playful, crispy, crunchy sound, they're all still very different and distinct. Most tracks on the album are smart blends of dark pop, hip-hop, and alt-rock, while some tracks dive into genres like jazz, spoken word, and even soul. Yes, the Gorillaz lore is interesting and creative, but the overall feels of the album is what makes this album so impactful for me. Every track feels like something insane is rumbling under the boring surface. It sounds like we're not gonna miss whatever's gonna happen. It makes not doing anything feels exciting. It also builds so much tension. And when you dig even deeper, this album feels like a large and grand abandoned city with boring cuboid concrete buildings laced with graffiti, and this crew of cartoon creatures is fooling around the city. And overall, it's such a great album, packed with catchy bangers with explosive climaxes of eargasms and smart acoustic breaks. The worst is All Alone, and the best is Feel Good Inc. I'm giving Gorillaz Demon Days, yep, a 10 out of 10. So, have you listened to Gorillaz 10, not 10, Demon Days from 1 out of 10? How much do you rate it? Like if you like it, and subscribe if you want more. I haven't said this for a very long time, so forgive me. Yeah, Travis Scott, Denzel Curry, Tony Molina, Zeal and Ardor, Chainsmokers, Spiritual Cramp, Haru Nemuri next week.